Gurdev, I wanted to ask you the difference in how we hold the Indian swords, the way the Indian swords are designed, and also the emphasis on moving the scapula and the shoulder and making that as the engine for all movement. Because it's very different from how most other martial arts function.
Okay, so to understand a sword, let's look at the stick first. So here's a stick. So if I just grasp it like this and just clamp and like this, that's the normal human way of grabbing something. But think like this. The ancient Indians realized that if you held it like this, tight, after half an hour or so, you end up getting cramps, so you can't hold the weapon for too long. So what we do here is we grab, take the thumb, put the finger. So now it's just there, it's sitting there with a brace. I'm not actually holding it, it's just there. So when I do this now, it's held like this. There. So I'm not clamping it like this. I am just letting it sit with a brace. Like here, that brace is these two fingers. If it's that way, it's that finger there, that way there. So this is how we do the stick. Now this understanding will then transmute to the Indian swords and so on. So the early weapons were obviously sticks, and then maces and clubs, so on. Eventually, I'm going to put the stick down now. So we have this. So this particular hilt is an advanced hilt, okay? So these Jodhpuri hilts that originally in Jodhpur, and then from Jodhpur, varieties came, and this is here, when it comes out, if you look at the hilt itself, it's a Sarohi type hilt, okay? That means the pommel here, the disc, is much larger than normal, like. And as you found out yesterday, there's no way you can use the wrist with this, okay? So if you hold it like this, we don't clamp it like this. If I clamp it like this, the sword is useless, and so on. So many people abroad, Europeans and so on, when they pick up Indian swords, they always assume Indians are physically small, and hence that's why the handles, the hilts are small. That's not the case. The case is that their brains are small, because the Indians were so clever, they figured out that you can hold a weapon by not clamping it, by just inserting fingers and then just bracing it. So if I'm not holding it like this, just like the stick, so this here, my finger is just expanding into this. My thumb is expanding here, little finger just gently relaxing into this. So what I've done is, I've locked the grip into my structure. And so this sword now is basically weightless. Okay, it's just become without any weight. Because any weight it has now basically blended into my whole arm structure and so on. So I'm holding it up structurally as opposed to clamping it and muscularly. So this way I can hold the sword for a long time. Now, if you notice, the pommel underneath is very large. And this is designed to stop you using your wrist. Now, in the average majority of, basically all martial arts that wield weapons, the wrist is instrumental, like. So they twirl, this, move this, and so on. But if you try to do any kind of wrist motion like this, with this sword, it stops you doing it. In fact, you end up breaking your own wrist. You cannot do it, okay? So wrist is not there. The elbow is not there. What the Indians discovered was that you get far bigger range of movement from the shoulder. The shoulder will eventually lead to shoulder blade. And the shoulder blade will eventually lead to movement around certain muscle groups, the multifidus, around the spine. So for instance, if I borrow my friend here, come here please. Yeah. And so he's going to stick his hand out here. So if you watch my wrist, if I turn my wrist, I only have this range of movement, because the pivot is here, so it just moves that much. If I move my elbow, the pivot is here, so it's going to be in line with that. It's going to move around that. It's going to be that much. But with the shoulder, because the ball can turn fully, I have that range of movement. So with the shoulder, I have a greater range of movement. So I can take the sword from here to here to here to here, here. And when I cut, I can go for a cut, and just by rotating the shoulder, I can then end up being a thrust. I can go for a thrust like this, and just by rotating the shoulder, I can end up cutting as well. So the cut, like here, you say this is a horizontal cut. Horizontal cut comes into, with the shoulder turn, suddenly is a thrust. So here, the idea of integrating a cut and a thrust is there with the shoulder. And of course, we have many types of, so there are about, with this particular type of sword, it's a karg, we have over 6 types of cuts and so on. to deliver with this. From the draw cut to the push cut to the saw cut to the hacking cut to the reverse cut, etc. so on. Now, with Shastra, our body locomotion is also linked with shoulder, shoulder blade, and the motor fidgets and so on. Because we don't push off the ground. Okay? We take our body mass ahead of our center of gravity with our shoulders, and that's the basic start. As our shoulder goes forward and the mass is there, if I lift that toe now, it'll move. So if I want to move, so I'll do this just to give you a demonstration. Imagine this is an elephant's trunk. So if I step that way and move my shoulder mass that way with the shoulder, I'll move. So we spill our mass. And we want to integrate our spilling and our striking into one. When it comes to wielding, we are moving this positioning, thrusting, cutting there. The movements are smooth and we're agile, meaning agility means that we can change our direction very quickly and smoothly without losing our balance. And thus we are constantly repositioning ourselves. So our opponent may see us here in front of him, but as he goes to attack, we reposition ourselves to his left or right or in and out and so on. And as a consequence, because we're constantly repositioning like a butterfly, that's why if you look at the movement here, they call the lilt in Punjabi. The lilt means like a butterfly. And as a consequence, I'm threatening with the point, I'm threatening with the cut, and so on, and constantly repositioning. And all this is happening with shoulders. So shoulder allows for a lot of things to happen, not just hitting, striking, and there's more power, more speed, more stealth, and it combines strikes and locomotion, even grappling, all in one.